Alright, welcome to the boring ass audio stream. Right now I have a thing here that I'm gonna be editing right now. I have like an air conditioner running in the background, so hopefully that's not too much of a problem. I'm gonna just like turn down the volume when I'm doing that shit. But I'm gonna just go through, edit this. Already I've applied a noise filter, noise reduction. And then the rest is just editing stuff out and seeing how things go. I'll probably speed some things up just to see. I just figured I would record it just to, have the process. Where is the script? It's over here. Here is the script. Let's see. About 2,000 words, I'd say. I think it's about 1,500 for like a 10-minute video. So I think this video is going to be maybe about 10 minutes. Right now the script is a little bit over, or not the script, but like the unedited audio is like 15. I'd say by the time I finish it, it's going to be about 13. But we shall see indeed. This is easily the worst part about the process of making a video, is editing the audio, at least for me. It's the most mind-numbing of everything, and I don't find it all that interesting, but I guess I have to do what I can. It's very not mind-numbing, let's say. But anyways, let's make that a little bigger. All right, so this is the setup I got here. Like the scaling is probably kind of weird with the recording, by the way, because let's see. Yeah, because I have a 1440p monitor now, and I resized, or I downscaled it to 1080 manually through OBS, like with the like a little click and draggy thing. So it probably looks kind of small, but all you really need to see is the audio in the waveforms or whatever. So enough rambling. Let's basing my entire personality on this one Genshiken manga page. So now it gets interesting. I'm gonna switch my keyboard, by the way. That is the Eddie, Kitamura Eddie voice pack, by the way. I'm switching my keyboard because my other one, the one I was currently using, was KBD Fans 67 Lite R3, and it doesn't have a left control, and the way I have it set up is that like I can hold it with my left hand, like my thumb on the left control, and then my index finger on the L, and then like another finger on the delete. So it just kind of makes it annoying if I have to do it the other way, because I like to have one hand on the keyboard, one hand on the mouse to make it as efficient as possible, let's say. This year I knew exactly what I wanted. It's gonna be a lot of this, just like deleting crap. Which artist or circles to look for, and which series I might want. I had no budget. It was the first day and my wallet wouldn't fold. It was the first day and my wallet wouldn't fold. My wallet would. Let's just go with the second one. Screw it. It always seemed like the Dojinshi booth was one of the busiest vendor stalls at the convention. They don't exactly have reasonable prices, but they have a wide selection and the quality is always excellent. I suppose most people would like a crowd. Most people would like a crowd. Excellent. I suppose most people like to crowd around and flip through the Forbidden Library in search of the fabled thin books. There comes a certain voyeuristic excitement that arises as you salivate looking at the succubus lowly femme. I don't know what the heck happened to my voice there. Sometimes my body just breaks. At the succubus lowly femdom book that has always brought you pleasure. book that has always brought you pleasure many times before, alongside comrades that want nothing more but to head home as quickly as possible to enjoy their newly purchased research materials. As I flip through the endless rows of doujinshi, a morbid curiosity of what if cropped up, teasing my libido. Perchance I would find the book of my uneasy dreams. I quickly made my way through the section organized by circle. Fatal Pulse caught my eye, and I started to flip through the section with a renewed sense of curiosity. I found one, then two. Wait, if they have Asanagi, maybe they... Control L. There we go. I don't really like to use the silence when I edit audio here, because usually, like, the somewhat ambient sound isn't completely erased, and I don't like to get too anal about making silence. So whenever I do add silence, it's noticeable, so that's why I hesitate to do that. I did it a lot in some of the earlier stuff I did, like the Eternal Sunshine. My hands began to move with an increased frenzy as my mind struggled to grasp the possibility of truth just beyond the plastic wrappings of these thin books. Titles in my Enhentai favorites flashed by in rapid succession. But alas, I was seeking greater horizons. Yes, I was looking for the legendary doujinshi. Doujinshi that I cherish above all else. Finally, I found the Orange Maru book. I'm gonna make the space a little shorter, or a little longer, I should say. Also, like a side note, I don't like listening to music while I audio edit, because it always gets me distracted. That's why you're not hearing anything. I do have something open, but it's not playing. I couldn't hold back and... Oh shit, this is it. That escaped my mouth. The convention lights reflected across their plastic sleeves, protecting their pristine covers, teasing me with the promise of immense pleasure within. I grabbed doujin after doujin, as I kept seeing volumes that I had read countless times. All the Jogasaki Mika doujinshi would be mine. With a neat stack in my hands, I continued. Oopsie. I only sought out the creme de la creme next. Shisakukata. Yeah, I never know how to pronounce this. Shisakugata. Let's use that one. The beauty of audio editing is that I can make myself sound less retarded. Shisakugata. That sounds unnatural as heck. Shisakugata. Shimanato. Shimanto. Shimanato. Let's assume the second pronunciation is correct. Shimanto. Yon Mado Mado Ichi. Yon Mado Mado Ju. I don't know what I was thinking there. Shisakugata. Okay. We'll roll with it. I concur. My favorite artist. I stumbled over the two Love Ru section. I stumbled over to the two Love Ru section. I immediately gross mouth noise parse. I immediately found some Mikan Dojinshi and added them to my pile. By this point, I was already too far gone. My eyes were glazed over, and the only thing left on my mind was the fantastic content within these books. I called over a staff member as they started to check me out. I don't even know how many volumes I had stacked or what the total would be. But to me, these were priceless. These were priceless. These were my holy grail doujinshi, and no price would come between me and the books that were there when nobody was. Total inconsequential. Over budget? Yes, very much so. Very much so. But alas, I was only perfecting the ultimate technique. My wallet started to fold, but the weekend had only just begun. My wallet started to technique. My wallet started to fold, but the weekend had only ultimate technique. But the weekend had only enough Blade references for one script. Technique, but the weekend had only just begun. Ano na technique, but the weekend had only just begun. Ano natsu de matteru. Ano natsu de matteru. I remember Ano natsu de matteru. Ano natsu de matteru. The first one sounds fine. Ano natsu de matteru. Natsu de matteru. I remember reading an excerpt about university life in my Japanese. textbook. It explained how it's the last time these young adults really get to express themselves. And Japanese university is more or less a victory lap for students after many years of hard work in middle and high school. Their educational success largely depends on their high school and college entrance exams, where the school's name carries more weight than the actual quality of the material taught there or the degree you receive. Let's give it a little save. If you manage to work hard and get into a prestigious university, you are almost guaranteed success in future job hunting. See, that is the magic of audio editing right there. There isn't much of an emphasis on difficult coursework like students were conditioned to previously, and coupled with freedoms of
don't think I need that big of a gap.
And coupled with freedoms of living on your own for the first time, it becomes an extended summer vacation. It's a time to enjoy the comforts of adult life without really being treated like one. But like all good summer vacations, they all eventually come to an end. This is when I started to think about Genshiken,
As I do often.
and the glorious run it had in its first half. That series largely defined my own university life and my own university defined my own university life.
Let's do lazy mode here. Fade out.
Really defined my own university life and outlook on life. University life and really defined my own university life and outlook on life.
When in doubt, always do the second take.
My own university life and outlook on life in general. But it felt like nothing but a dream, and I guess it's because it really was, or that's because it was. I guess it's because it really was, or that's because. I guess it's because it was. The daydreams locked away in that Shio University club room will forever resonate with otaku, longing to return to the house, longing to return to the halcyon days, longing to return to the halcyon days of youth, or those wishing to experience a nostalgic time they could never have otherwise. This is a time where the only concerns were of which eroge to buy, what new anime was airing that season, and trying to save some cash for the upcoming summer Comiket. The spring of 2017 was perhaps the most important era. The spring of 2017 was perhaps the most important era in my life. I was cruising through the final stretch of my time at high school and was getting ready to move on as quickly as possible. I remember this era so fondly because of how connected to it I still am. The types of anime I would watch, the YouTube videos I enjoyed.
I mean, it wouldn't be a Pars video without mentioning Genshiken or 2017, so.
And the general attitude towards life I started to form had begun to coalesce here.
I think I said the same thing right there. Like a double negative, but fuck it.
This was where I began to lay down the framework for how I would carry myself in the coming years. I became obsessed with otaku culture after watching Otaku no Video, followed by NHK ni Yokoso, and was in awe at Yamazaki Kaoru's room. Walls plastered with posters of Bisho. Walls plastered with Bishoujo game posters. Shelves filled to the brim with eroge and DVD and PVC figures everywhere. The faint sound of pururin echoing between the walls. I would blast that song in my headphones late at night and pretend I was in a small Tokyo apartment. For a moment, just enjoying the act of indulging within the otaku lifestyle. I was watching more Digibro videos on YouTube than a sane person should. But it was thanks to Digibro Pod. But it was thanks.
Oh, that slur.
Should. But it was thanks to Digibro Podcast. Should. But it was thanks to Digibro Podcast that I found out about Genshiken. And started to watch. And decided to start. Decided to start watching the anime the summer before I moved into uni myself. Digi's I like what I like attitude that mirrors Madarame's own this is how I live, take it or leave it.
I think that's fine.
Digi's I like what I like attitude mirrors Madara. Digi's attitude I like what I like. Digi to uni myself. Digi's I like what I like attitude that mirrors Madarame's own this is how I live, take it or leave it. Digi's I like what I like attitude mirrors Madarame's own this is how I live, take it or leave it. I started telling myself those words as I like what I like.
Oh, I think I did too much.
Digi's I like what I like attitude mirrors Madarame's own this is how I live, take it or leave it. I started telling myself those words as I stared at the disheveled Kimoyota in the mirror. Kimoyota in the mirror.
Pars in the mirror, more like Boogie Pop in the mirror, right?
The things that I got into more or less defined my life for the past 5 years. Genshiken more or less defined my life for the past 5 years. Shisa Kugata.
Oh shoot, what happened?
Mine. Tsudemate.
Or was I like around here maybe?
Enjoy the comforts of adult life without really being treated or have otherwise. This is a time where the only concerns were of which eroge to buy. I remember this era so fondly because of how connected to it I still am. The types of
Wait a second. Hold on. What the hell is this at the beginning?
of this one Genshiken manga
Okay, that's fine.
and no city.
Okay, I think I was right here. You can kind of tell.
Years. Genshiken captures the telling myself those words as I stared at the disheveled Kimoyota in the mirror. The things that I got into more or less defined my life for the past 5 years. Defined my life for the past 5 years.
Okay, I kind of got rid of it. Screw it.
Genshiken captures the purest essence of otaku in the all too brief
Breath.
early 2000s reverie. Sometime between Otaku no Video and Suzumiya Haruhi no Yutsu, we had this little series that retroactively became a time capsule for one of the most endearing eras of otaku culture. Momoe Haruko was dancing on the streets of Akihabara. Meido Kisa.
Always the first time is correct, actually. When I say something, then I try to over-enunciate it, and it sounds dumb.
Were opening everywhere, and Bishoujo games were being released at a breakneck pace. Young men with disheveled hair and plaid shirts tucked into their slacks carried bags with posters sticking out of them.
Foreshadowing.
Genshiken's first chapters were a celebration of the platonic ideal of this otaku. Of this perfect otaku. Of the platonic ideal of this otaku. Of this perfect. Of this otaku. Of this otaku. Of this otaku. Of this platonic ideal of this perfect platonic ideal of this perfect of this perfect ideal of this perfect
Look at that ghetto editing right there, man. I just applied a shit ton of fade outs and to make it smooth.
the ideological warrior, if you will.
Also wouldn't be a Pars post if I don't mention the ideological warrior.
It's a victory lap for only the most
Bonus points if you know what that is.
far gone Denpo Otoko who can laugh along
Uh-oh.
who can laugh alongside the club's discussions of 2D supremacy, moments of dropping outrageous amounts of money on character goods, and all the time spent playing eroge. When I watched the first season, it was perhaps the first time when I playing eroge. When I watched this anime, it was perhaps the first time I truly felt proud of to be truly felt proud. It's the first time I proud to be first time I truly felt proud to be what I am. I began to start adopting this mindset of the characters in a feeble attempt to recapture the spirit of this lost era.
You know, this wasn't that bad. There's been some scripts I've voiced where like everything's all over the place and I somehow bring it together with like shoestring and duct tape.
All around me, people were afraid of the spirit of this lost era. All around me, people were afraid to express their love and recoiled at the idea of social embarrassment.
But I indulged within it.
The Denpa music in the warm summer air of Akihabara. All the young men darting between shops with nothing on their mind but glory to be had. And
oh, by the way, all right, whenever I say let me click this and pause it. Whenever I say all the young men, it's been something I've done more recently, but it's a reference to a song on Shishido Rumi's 1995 album, Set Me Free. The song is 1990, All the Young Nerds. It's the 5th track on here. I'm not going to play it because of copyright, but you kind of get that deep lore reference. And I guess it's a decent time to mention that a lot of times within my writing, I will incorporate song lyrics and like references and shit. So like if you see that, all those are intentional, by the way. So just a little thing, deep lore, I guess. At no expense to them. No cost was too much, and it would. And by the way, Shishido Rumi is Pururin. She's also what's her face in Doremi. But like proto Pururin. No cost was too much, and cost was too much, and it was much, and it was always worth it. My hard drive began to fill with 2000s harem anime eroge. Pictures of anime figures and photos of rooms with walls plastered with posters. I killed my ego and thrust myself into the haze.
This pa- this past weekend, I attended my local anime convention and couldn't help myself from a mem- help myself from a mem- from help myself from a from remembering these days, walking around the same convention center and wandering through the same vendor room. Things once thought to be unattainable were now things once thought to be unattainable were now firmly within my grasp. The first year I attended, I was 17 and jobless and could only steal glances at the mysteries hidden behind ID and wristband checks. When I was 18, I could finally see the truth behind the curtain. JPEGs now rendered in glossy, now rendered in glossy, now rendered in glossy plastic, were now held in my virgin hands. But my neat funds were not going to cut it. The following year, I was employed and made a beeline to the forbidden market. The thin books welcomed me, and I soon found myself holding my beloved 410 Ichigo book. That's the one I was mentioning earlier. It's like the Shima Kugata book or whatever. But it's the guy who does Mikan stuff. In the time since my last convention, I just said the circle that time. Many things have changed. I grew 2 years older, watched around 5 or 6 around 500 or 600 more anime, and have expanded my knowledge of otaku far beyond what it had been before. What it ever was before. Far beyond what it had. Far beyond what it ever was before. Beyond what it ever was before. Far beyond what it ever was before. I'm just going to use that ad-lib. Of course, I was self-aware enough to recognize... That was a new paragraph. Actually, I need that. Okay. Of course, I was self-aware enough to recognize the bit of LARPing that was occurring. Part of the reason I was buying was to uphold some sort of personality. The ideological warrior. Yet ideological warrior. Yet I am still reminded of my time walking starstruck down the convention hall for the first time and being unable to process everything at once. I can't tell if the birds chirping are actually on my side or they're in the recording. I had never seen so many anime goods in one place. I guess we'll find out, won't we? One place before. Seen so many anime goods in one place. Seen so many anime goods in one place. I'm using open back headphones, specifically the Drop 6XX or HD 6XX, which are the Sennheiser. I believe they're the 650s, just rebranded or something like that. But open back headphones are not exactly the best reference for editing audio I've found.
when I do actually edit audio seriously, I use IEMs. Lately, I've been using the Blessing 2 Dusks specifically, which are somewhat neutral with a bass boost. So, like, they're not going to give you the most accurate audio reference, I guess. But most people do use some sort of boost based thing. So, whatever. I mean, I'm not editing music or whatever. Or mixing anything fancy. As long as it sounds pretty decent, I do it with like a neutral sounding headphone. I tend to stay away from my DT770s since they're a bit more strong on the treble, let's say. But like I'm just using these because I'm lazy. But in general practice, it's good to use headphones when you're mixing audio. Like most people know that already, but like for example, when I was doing Eternal Sunshine of the Javelot's Mind, I edited a lot of the audio with through my bookshelf speakers, which is fine since they were a decent reference. But when it came down to like actually mix stuff with the music, I brought out my headphones, which at the time I was using the HD 518s to mix, and those aren't necessarily the best reference either, but they give a somewhat decent baseline for like where's the music and how is it too loud or is it too soft or how's the voice. Also a complaint, not the complaint, but like looking back on it with the Eternal Sunshine, the audio channel imbalance is crazy. Like it leans really heavily on the left side, and there's a reason for that because I was using an omnidirectional, or not omnidirectional, but I was using stereo recording through my phone. At the time, that was the Galaxy S7. So I didn't know how to position it correctly, so I ended up recording almost entirely to the left channel, and I don't think I didn't mix it, and I didn't realize it until much later that I was watching it with like IEMs, that I was like, crap, it's almost entirely left leaning, and you could kind of overcompensate for that in Audacity, like with right here, you kind of mix with it. Probably the better thing would have been to bring one side all the way to the left, duplicate the channel, bring it all the way to the right, and then mix it down to mono. But just in general practice, it's better to record in mono, because you might end up with shit like that. Placed before. All these things were tangible. All these things were tangible manifestations of the abstract AmiAmi product pages I had seen online. They were so close to the figures I was suddenly so close to the figures I had only seen photographed on my figure collection. I was flipping through a book with better quality images than the PNGs I saved from Yandere that
Roll with the first.
I thought I died and had gone to heaven. I watched Genshiken and dreamt of being like Madarame and filling my room with otaku goods. What about Madarame? Inquired Sasa.
I don't think I need this part. It's decent voice acted, by the way.
No, I think he just takes it out of his living expenses. Inquired Sasahara. Otaku goods. What about Madarame?
I just voice acted that part because I had it in my script, so I'm like, screw it. But then after I realized that I'm just gonna use dub, like the Japanese dub, and add a clip from the anime into it.
I could only dream of spending with such reckless abandon. Maybe us otaku are overconfident. Yes, otaku are overconfident. Otaku are overcompensating. Otaku are overcompensating for something. Using intentionally poor spending habits and a lack of basic self-control. And employing a basic lack of self-control.
Reset. Yeah. Who cares?
Probably all three, but I'm not going to pretend like it's a good thing for everyone.
But there is something special about the ability to add physicality to your intangible hobbies. For some of us, and for some of us, there is no greater feeling in the world. The otaku goods we fill our rooms with are manifestations of a hopeless masquerade. A slow dance through the daydreams of summer vacation in Akihabara. The ideological warrior is always playing a character. He exists as a representative of nostalgic memories of a simpler time, a night of the old.
Absolutely based ad lib right there, by the way.
But does he have that kind of money? Of course not. Of course not, Sasahara. He is spending his food money on doujinshi. When I was living in a
True story, BTW.
when I was living alone
Oh, mouth noise.
when I was living alone in an apartment, alone in an apartment, living alone in an apartment during living alone in an apartment during my university days.
Sometimes I just spaz out like that.
During my university days. An apartment during my university days.
Good enough.
I would try to make my grocery budget. Grocery try to make my make my grocery budget as try to make my grocery budget as
Oh, that was bad.
grocery budget as low as possible to save money to save money for importing character goods. I would average about $40 a month. $40 a month on food and $40 a month on about $40 a month on $40 a month on food and cut all additional cost I deem unnecessary. Harunobu Madarame also knows full well that he doesn't have that kind of budget. But what kind of otaku would he be if he was? What kind of otaku would he be without those books? But what kind of budget? But what kind of otaku would we be without these books? So I strode into the vendor's hall this past weekend with a wallet full of cash and plastic money I'm stacking. Sleepwalk to the doujinshi booth and grab a stack of books I've been meaning to buy. Since I was 16. Booth after booth, I
don't know what happened to my
booth
voice.
after booth I visited as I made my rounds. My bag was slowly filled with multiple bags of posters. Manga filled with multiple bags of posters.
There's no such thing as a bag of posters.
Filled with multiple posters, manga,
Manga.
and CDs. There I was, cosplaying an Akiba K otaku, wearing a plaid a plaid otaku wearing a otaku wearing a plaid flannel.
Flannel?
A plaid flannel.
Takes deep breath.
A plaid flannel. Wearing a plaid flannel. A plaid flannel. Wearing a plaid flannel. Plaid flannel. Unbuttoned over. Plaid flannel.
I wonder if I could speed this up. Change speed.
Plaid flannel.
Plaid flannel. Plaid flannel. Plaid flannel.
Not good enough.
A plaid flannel unbuttoned over an Oremo t-shirt standing in a massive building filled to the brim with anime filled to the brim with anime merch. Akiba strip was materializing in the distance, and I could hear the voice of Dejiko in my ears.
Drip. Oh, it ended up being just shy of 10 minutes. File. Save. Time to mess with some other things here. Let's see if I want. I want to mess with compressor. I think this is fine. Let's see.
Basing my entire personality on this one.
Let's see what that happens.
Same vendor room. Things one.
Normalize. I never really normalize. Let's see.
Basing my entire personality. Local anime convention, and couldn't help myself from remembering these days, walking around the same convention center and wandering through the same vendor room. Things once thought to be unattainable were now firmly within my grasp. The first year I attended, I was 17 and jobless and could only steal glances at the convention center and wandering.
Yeah, I don't feel like normalizing. I think it's in ideal practice, it's supposed to bring down the lower and raise the upper, like average it out, but it never seems to work that way. I bet there's something else I need to do. Loudness normalization, maybe? Effect.
Basing my entire personality. Basing my entire person.
Oh, geez.
May convention.
Loudness normalization. Let's try like 16.
Basing my entire personality. Basing my entire personality.
What does it go to? I don't know. I'm just messing, dude.
Basing my entire person. And wandering through the same vendor room. Things once thought to be
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Effect on this normalization. Let's do like 14. Let's say okay.
local anime convention, and couldn't help myself from remembering these days, walking around the same convention center and wandering through the same vendor room. Things once thought to be unattainable were now firmly within my grasp. The first year I attended, I was 17 and
Save that. What happens if I... Let's do that again.
Phew.
Let's... Loudness. Let's do it to like 15, and then we're gonna normalize it normally.
getting ready to move on as quickly as possible. I remember this era so fondly because of how connected to it I still am, the types of anime I would watch, the YouTube videos I enjoyed, and the general attitude towards life I started to form had begun to coalesce here. This was where I began to lay down the
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. Let's just export that one. Control Shift E. So, Oh, ho, ho, what do we got there? I'm just gonna throw it. Video. Wait. Over here. Flandre. Archives. My stuff. Videos. I gotta get my personality. It doesn't really need to be 32 kilobits per second, but we're gonna roll with it anyways. Caps lock, of course. Remember, all caps. So we'll export that. And then basing my entire personality on this one Genshiken manga page. Weekend had in that I like Akihabara circa 2000. 9 minutes is not that bad, so we're gonna roll with it. Yep, and then after that, it's onward to Adobe, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. Let's see here. I've been recording for 51 minutes, so I've been editing this damn audio for 50 minutes, which is 50 minutes longer than I would have liked to, I guess. But that was how I edit audio. Feel free to critique. I will not listen to anything you say. This is the way I've been doing it. I don't really know about normalizing audio or like in terms of like cleaning stuff up, let's say, because my microphone is actually pretty decent now. I bought like one of those $20 USB ones, as opposed to using, like, for example, on on the video unedited, Girls I Used to Fall in Love With. This audio here I still hate. It's completely fucked, dude. Like, it sounds awful. In the final days of middle, after all, because I recorded it on a SteelSeries headset mic. And then previously, like a lot of ones, like I mentioned, Eternal Sunshine was recorded on a phone, and then a lot of other ones were recorded on, like my ThinkPad mic, or something like that. It was just all like really crappy. Actually, I think Girls I Used to Fall in Love With was recorded on an older laptop mic or something like that. I'm not sure. Regardless, it sounded awful. But yeah, so that is this. I might upload this video. Actually, this video should come out after, or at least on the same day, because it would be kind of pointless otherwise. But I think like the entirety of watching this video is pointless. It just serves to be up there because if anyone remembers, back in the Digi days, there was a video called like Boring Ass Audio Editing Podcast or something like that. Let's see. Videos. YouTube. Digibro. Boring Ass Editing Video. So if anyone remembers this, that's exactly what I just did now. I might go through the editing process of this one just to have it. But I remember like I would put this video on and just like have it running in the background while I did homework or something. And it was like therapeutic just to see it happen. I might even do like a mic cam or something like that. Just something interesting or random to do, I guess. Whatever. Anyways, if anyone has actually made it to this point of the video, congrats. Even if you skipped here, kind of based. But anyways, I'm gonna end this off.